I hereby summon all my imps. Hey everybody, it's Annabelle. Since last we did a conversation with you, at least 10 cards have come out. Actually, there's been way more than 10. I got one more left of these that I gotta do. Probably I'll do tomorrow. They're printing out a lot of these, and I gotta catch up at some point. But we're gonna start off where I last left off. I speak English good. Where we left off last time was Wither. So the next one for us is the Druid card of the Elder Nox. Elder Nox is one of the Druid's legendary cards here. It is a 5 mana 5/4 that has Battle Cry. Destroy a friendly undead. Your minion gains its attack. So, if you destroy a 3/3, this becomes an 8/4. So you need an undead on your side of the battlefield. It needs to have decently good attack, and still, even if this has the best attack in the world. Like, let's say for some reason you got a 20 attack minion that's undead. This becomes a 25/4, sorry. So, yeah, you put down a 25/4 on, say, turn 5 somehow. But then your opponent just kills it with a 4/4. It has no immediate swing. It has no immediate, and you gotta kill something on your side of the board too. So, you're gonna trade in maybe a minion that you don't care about, have a few points left on it, then destroy it just to get attack. If it was attack and defense, or its stats in general, that'd be, great. But as it stands right now, I'm not seeing how this is ever going to be scary. So I'm giving this a nice effect, but ultimately will be scary. Next up for us is number 2. And number 2 is when we start to get into the Mage cards. So this is the beginning of the Mage cards. And this one is Vectus. Vectus is a 5 mana 3/5 elemental that has your arcane spells cast twice. There are some interesting arcane spells that are coming out in this particular set. They kind of work together with arcane, this card. So we actually are going to come back to this in just a second. We're going to actually skip a little bit here. Because I think we gotta go one more on here. So we'll talk about a little bit of this out of order just for a second. We're going to talk about the Arcane Worm. So the Arcane Worm is a 1 mana 1/2 that adds an Arcane Bolt to your hand. 1 mana 1/2, that's pretty much standard. In fact, you're getting Arcane Bolt. And this is what Arcane Bolt looks like. So the Arcane Bolt is deal 2 damage, and if you have more than 8 mana crystals, to deal 3 instead. So we're going to kind of remember Arcane Bolt when we're looking at all these cards. So now we're going to jump back for just a second. and we're going to talk about vectors. And he's going to make all of your arcane spells cast twice. So that arcane bolt is going to do 6 damage. So you cast an arcane bolt, if you have 8 mana crystals, you're dealing 6 damage. That's a fireball for 1. I mean, having a fireball for 1 is crazy. If an arcane deck falls around this is going to be the key card behind it. This is pretty much an Oko combo Exodia maker right here. The problem with cards that are like that are just simply the fact that if this ends up being the last card in your deck or close to the bottom, you're going to be sad. Other than that, I think you're okay. If you don't have any arcane spells in your hand, this is sort of the side card. But there's so many good arcane spells that you would even like that aren't damage effective, like Arcane Wisdom. Drawing, 4 cards for 3, that's great. That's almost a sprint right there. Okay. Next card up for us. So I will give this if this can be brought together, it'll be awesome. This is Arc Splitter. So again, we're going to remember the last card that we talked about, the Arcane Bolt, which is right here. So Arcane Splitter is a 3 mana 3/2, just River Crocodile stats for 3. And it adds 2 Arcane Bolts to your hand. So again, you're already getting up to this. That's like damage, power spike turn that you can get. I mean, if you just play these 2 cards on the same turn, you're already at 8 mana. And you just put 2 fireballs in your hand. I mean, then we're going to talk about this one here. So I'm giving this the little engine that could. And what this one does is this makes it so that your arcane spells cost 1 less. So this can make your arcane spells go down to 0 since your arcane bolts already cost 1. So if you play the 3 of these together, and you have all 3 of these in your hand just on turn 10, which is, you're casting 2 fireballs for free out of nowhere. I mean, that's, 12 damage. And that's nothing to, yeah. So, this is 2 arcane bolts right here, so that's 3, 6. They get cast twice, so that's 6, 12. I mean, you throw that with the worm, you're starting to get some real power on here. I mean, there's a move where you basically play the worm, the apprentice, and the big guy all on 8. That's 5, 6, 7. With the Mern, that's 8. I mean, if you played Arcane Splitter anywhere before that, you cast all 3 at the same time. And all of a sudden, I mean, you're casting 3 fireballs out of nowhere. There's something to be said about doing, 6, 12, 18 damage out of nowhere. I mean, at a certain point, you're hitting a critical mass. I mean, you only need 5 Arcane Bolts in your hand. If you play these 2 down, the Victus and the Apprentice, if you have 5 in your hand, you're good. You throw down the Worm, that's another 1. So you only need 4 in your hand. Here's 2 of them. So, I mean, you can sort of see how this deck can just OHKO on 8. I mean, I'm not even trying to make this work, and it's starting to be put together. And I'm not really putting too many cards in here. That's 2, 4, 5 for this one. Worm for 6 and 7, that's 7 cards. I mean, 7 card commitment is not that hard. Okay, so I'm giving all of these, they're either going to work together or they're going to fail horribly, and there's no in between. I'm not sure you're playing one of these without the big payoff, but, you know, the big payoff is probably the weakest of all those cards, sadly, because everything else is just like, yeah, it's fine. So, I will give this OHKO incoming. Next up for us. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the raiders and people who showed up. Next up for us is Evelyn the Grandstander. Evelyn the Grandstander is a 3-mana, 3/3 warrior card. That says, cast a copy of the last spell your opponent played. This is kind of a very weird card, because of the simple fact that, a lot of times your opponent's not playing anything that'll help you out. You're more looking for playing stuff that you want to play instead of something that your opponent played, and you kind of have to have your opponent play something that's really good for you. This come into hand, and this doesn't, and this casts a copy of it right off the bat. You don't get to bank it for later down the road, you just get to cast it right then and there. So if you don't like what the spell is, you might not play this card. So I will give this a, there's going to be more times this nerfs than not, and more times this hits. Next up for us is the Spellbreaker. Which is a Disruptive Spellbreaker. Disruptive Spellbreaker is a 5-mana, 4/5. Which says at the end of your turn, your opponent discards a spell. This is falling into the Dirty Rat category, the Mutanus category, any of those disruptive categories. So this card on its own is just decently well for a 4/5. If you know that your opponent just grabbed something good, if you know your opponent's basically holding on to a card that you know you might not want to see, throw this down, and your opponent will just be missing that one particular card. On the other hand, it's not that great of stats. It's Yeti stats. But any kind of disruption is good disruption. So I will give this any kind of disruption is good disruption. Next up for us, it's going to be Last Stand. Last Stand is going to be a 4-mana classless spell for warrior. Shouldn't say classless, I should say skillless. It's a better name. Playing spell for warrior. It has draw a taunt minion, double its stats. Warrior is missing draw, it needs draw. Last Stand isn't that bad. You can basically, it's a tutor for 4, so it's even better than a draw. You can run very few taunts in your deck and just kind of grab one off of them. If you play even like a 4-4 after this is like an 8-8 for 4, if you assume a 4-4 for 4. So this does the attack and the defense, not just the defense. So it's going to make one of those taunters really, hard to get past. And if anything, it's just thinning your deck. So I will give this any draw is good draw for warrior right now. Next up for us is we're getting into the Demon Hunters at this point. And this is when we get into Phelan the Forgotten. Phelan the Forgotten is a 4-mana, 3/5 Demon Hunter. I had them try not to say Death Knight, trust me. That says add a random outcast to your left and rightmost sides of your hand. It costs 2 less. The outcast cards are the cast from left and right. So, when you cast this, pretty much your left card and your right card are going to be able to be thrown. It's not just until end of turn though. That's what you have to remember about this. So, you just get 2 outcast cards put in your hand. And that alone is just basically 4 mana, 3/3, put 2 cards in your hand. And if you get them to be good, you can just throw them straight off the bat. There's not too many outcast cards that are bad. There's not too many outcast cards that are good though either. That's the problem. So I will give this a outcast might not have enough for it yet. I'll have to review that when I do my final reviews. And then the last one for us for this particular set is going to be, I can flip to it, going to be the Fierce Outsider. Fierce Outsider is a 1 mana 2/1 rush. That says for Demon Hunter, that says your outcast, your next outcast card costs 1 less. Now, what's really interesting is this is a bankable card. This does not say this turn. So, I mean, this is a 1-drop. You're going to throw it down out in turn 1, and just, if you have any outcasts that you have in your deck at all, 10 turns down the road, 15 turns down the road, doesn't matter. This makes it cost 1 less. So I will give this a 1 drop ain't that bad. So those are the 10 cards that have come out so far since we last did our discussion. I'm going to stop here on this set, and I'm going to do a set in just a second with the next 10 cards that came out. So thank you all so much for watching, and as always, remember, play for fun!